just start things up here, and we will take it by the numbers. Might want to bring your camera down just a bit, Mark.
Yeah.
So that way our heads are all kind of at the same level.
Yeah, look like you're at the kiddie
Is that
table.
better?
There you go. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, that's good. I'm pretty sure Mark's taller than all three of us, or the rest of us. So
All three of us combined.
all three of us
Taller than
combined.
myself.
He's taller than himself plus us.
I think David's coming a little lighter than you are, Chuck, with volume.
All right.
Yeah, I'm noticing that too. Let's see. Yeah, David, if you want to get a little closer to your mic.
Is it bad to have it in shot?
No, I don't mind. We're on a podcast.
So if I talk like this, are we good like
Sounds
this?
real nice.
I'm hitting about halfway on the meter.
Yeah, that's good.
All right.
Let's try and do the perfect. Exactly.
Bruh.
So
Yeah, I'll move a little closer to the mic so I can.
You can hear my voice. Little
you
bit.
are fine, Mark. We can,
Yeah, I
we
think-
can
I
hear
think you were
just
good.
fine.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
All right. So, all right. Well, we're gonna hit the theme music, and here we go.
You're watching Diecast Breakdown with Chuck Ellis, David Johns, and Mark McHotwheel. So sit back, strap in, and hang on. The breakdown starts now.
Hey there, folks. Chuck here, and welcome to Diecast Breakdown. And congratulations. This is our first episode, and that means you're probably either a close member of our family or someone that we begged online to watch for us. But either way, we're glad you're here. I'm thrilled. Today we are joined by my two amazing co-hosts. Coming all the way from sunny Seattle, Washington, is the man that inspired this podcast himself, Mark McHotwheels, also known as Dotson Diecast. Say hi,
What's up,
Mark.
guys? Hello, guys. How's it going?
We also got, coming to us from beautiful Trussville, Alabama, the mouth of the South, Mr. David Johns, a.k.a. TWYCE Diecast.
Absolutely. Glad you're here, guys.
Now, this episode in particular, if you're listening, you probably know a little bit about us already, but that's probably because we were asking you to listen. But for those who don't know, I'm going to have David tell you a little bit about what the show's about. David, take it away.
Thanks, Chuck. Well, we're going to look at everything diecast, everything you guys are interested in, primarily 1/64 scale, but we're going to look at everything, including the guys and girls that influence everything diecast culture and makes it what it is.
What to expect on the show is just all different aspects of diecast. You got the Hot Wheels collectors, you got the modifiers. It's vast. David over here collects all the cars you've never heard of from Europe, and we're gonna just basically introduce you to new things and all things diecast. We're just gonna make you open your mind up to other diecast avenues, basically.
Absolutely. And it's not going to be just the three of us, Mark. It is going to be me, Chuck, and Mark, but we are going to bring some of the most influential people in diecast out there right now. Anybody that is helping make diecast culture what it is, we would love to have them on the show, and you're going to expect to see a lot of them that you already know on the show as well. So we are super excited about it.
I am so thrilled. Mark, you were just telling us that you got Jakarta Diecast to agree to show up on the show, and that is so cool. I mean,
That's
if
awesome.
you know anything about diecast customizing, you know Jakarta Diecast. That's probably one of the first channels that you saw when you Googled diecast customization. We got him. We got the good folks over at Diecast Heroes. Tony and Carmen are going to be showing up. We've got a really cool interview that David conducted that's coming up later in this episode, so you want to be sure to stick around for that. But before we get into all that, we want to take a little bit of time to introduce you to ourselves a little bit better. We're going to take these first three episodes and mix it up a little bit, so we're not spending 30 minutes talking about ourselves. But tonight we're just going to talk about David.
All right.
David Johns, tell the good folks at home a little bit more about yourself.
Well, I am originally from the South here in the United States of America, grew up in Louisiana, have been a diecast collector my entire life. In fact, the very first memory I have, guys, is walking around a birthday party, 3 years old, with a handful of Hot Wheels. never left. And I'm sure that's a lot of the same stories that you guys have as well. Just been a Diecast fan since I can remember.
Was that really like where the collector bug took off? Like, or was there somewhere along the line where you made that switch to like, okay, this is like a serious hobby?
Yeah, sure. And this might echo with a lot of you guys as well. You know, as a kid, we all played with cars, right? But eventually we grow out of them. Went to college, and for some reason was walking through a Walmart one day. And as you guys are probably well aware, sometimes when you're in college, you're on a budget, and saw the Hot Wheels, saw that they were still $1, and picked up a few. And this is the most important part of my story. Went back to my dorm, opened them up, put them out on my shelf, and I said, you know what? I love Hot Wheels, and I'm going to own this. I'm going to show them in front of everybody that comes in my room, girlfriend, whatever. I'm a Hot Wheels fan, and it has been, the rest is history.
I'm pretty sure at this point, everybody that knows us knows that we are deep in the diecast world. We are actually literally making a podcast about it right now. But you have kind of an interesting approach to your collection. That your collecting has evolved over the years. In case I haven't mentioned already and you forgot, David also has a YouTube channel called TWYCE Diecast where he shows off his collections and some of his work in the hobby. But you mentioned in a video recently that you kind of changed your collecting habits a bit.
Yeah, that's definitely fair. So I was like everybody. I started with Hot Wheels Matchbox, but eventually started buying some of the premiums from Hot Wheels. Really enjoyed those. And then I noticed some of the higher end premiums from overseas, from different companies that I had never heard of. And it was a combination of running out of closet space with cases and cases of awesome main lines from Hot Wheels and Matchbox. I had to do something, so we downsized, and now I'm going after the weird, the obscure, the international brands. And you're right, Chuck. Thanks for mentioning TWYCE Diecast. We show a lot of those cars on my channel, and that's what I love.
David, I found your channel, I believe through Derek, Honest Diecast on YouTube, and I just really liked the friendliness, the kindness of your channel, the variety, stuff that I've never heard of. And I'm continually finding more brands that, and you've sent me cars. You've sent me, not this specific car, but majorettes and stuff that I was like, what's a majorette? So I really enjoy David's channel because he treats everyone with kindness, and he shows you different cars from Europe that you're like, wow, this is actually really cool. I mean, it's a catch-22 because it's like, these things are not cheap. They're not dollar cars. So
Very true.
Those Tarmax work one that he sent me a RW, or like I think it was RWB maybe, or no, Liberty Walk, and I was just blown away. And then I didn't know what lensed taillights and headlights were until David, and now every time I mention that, of course, I have to mention David because I'm like, what's a lensed taillight headlight, because a lot of Hot Wheels don't come with them, so I've started noticing that some Hot Wheels do, and I'm like, oh, lensed taillights, lensed headlights. So I just really appreciate David's channel and the community that he brings to it, So well, it's really cool.
Thanks for those kind words, Mark. And that is one of the goals that I set out for my channel, just like with you and Chuck. We're just trying to introduce Diecast to everybody around the world. If they don't have a particular brand in their country, I want to have a place where they can go and learn about it. And who knows, we do giveaways, and sometimes I try to put Diecast in the hands of as many people as I can around the world. So that's one fun thing about our community.
Yeah. My first mail call actually was from you.
Is that right?
You were the first person. Yeah. You sent me, I believe it was a Racing Champions van. The little Chevy van that you got at your Ollie's that I couldn't find over here.
I think I remember that.
And yeah, over on my bulletin board, I still have the letter that you sent with it, and it meant a lot. So I've got that, and I've got a little note from Mike Espo that says, make something cool. And I put that over my workbench. So every time I'm sitting there, I'm like, yeah, got to make something cool. David, how many cars do you have in your collection now? Because it's got to be getting pretty big.
That's a good question. We probably peaked, and honestly, guys, it seems like a lot of people I talk to have thousands of cars. And full credit to Hot Wheels for making them $1. We can do that sometimes.
Yeah.
But I've really downsized. I tried to give away a lot of cars. I've tried to limit it to some of the more premium stuff. So currently, honestly, maybe 300-400 cars. Nothing crazy.
Wow.
And all handpicked, all stuff that I really like.
I definitely went through a quantity over quality phase
Right. I think we
early
all
on.
did.
And I think I'm still kind of guilty of that, especially if I show up at a flea market and there's like somebody selling cars by the bag. I am a sucker for mystery bags of cars.
Yep.
And then I get home and I'm like, well, there's like 3 of these that I actually want. I might need this for a custom someday. And they go in the big
bin.
junk bin.
The bin of death.
The bin. My grandchildren will one day find this bin and go,
Yeah.
what is
Or
this?
sell it for $2 at a garage sale.
Yeah, exactly. Sell it for $2. Yes. So the worst thing that could ever happen is that your spouse sells your collection for what you said you paid for it.
Yeah, just like car parts, man.
Yeah.
It's the same.
I tell that story to myself, though, as I look at my collection. I'm like, yeah, they all cost about $1 each. Not really. But yeah, maybe it averages out. But yeah, David, you talked about, you've got a pretty hand-picked collection. So what are like your top 3 favorite castings that you have?
Okay, so when I say obscure, I mean obscure. I just recently looked at a brand called X-Car Toys, and I've got a 1930s communist oil tanker from the Chinese military. So that checks a lot of boxes for my collection. I love old Japanese stuff, Kyosho and Aoshima. These are all brands that you guys really ought to check into. If you're bored one day on eBay, just type in Kyosho or Aoshima, and it's all the amazing cars from Japan that you in old movies and you never knew was in diecast.
Is there like a holy grail casting for you? Like one that you really like wish you could find someday?
Okay,
like,
so this is a challenge for all you 3D printers out there. I need, and I don't say this often, I need a 1993 Saturn SL. Not the SL1 that all the fancy people had. I'm talking about the SL base model. And that included the option of adding a passenger side rear view mirror for $95, which my dad did not opt to pick up for me. So 93 Saturn, my first car I paid for with my money from my first job. Got to have it one day.
Yeah. I've got the same problem. My family, just about everybody has a car that was a diecast except for me.
Right.
My 64 Valiant has not been covered. In case you didn't notice, all 3 of us are also big car people as well as little car people. David, what are you driving these days?
From time to time, when the weather's right and it's not raining, I take out my 95 Corvette that my dad gave to me on my 40th birthday. And best gift I've ever gotten, because that was his dream car that he saved and worked for years. And he got that. And then I think when it started overheating and the engine light came on, that's when he decided to pass it down to me. So I'm loving that one.
Yeah, that's very cool.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, well, we're going to be hearing more from David later in this episode, and he'll be leading the roundtable discussion. So be sure to stick around for both of those. But hey, you know what? It's a new year. We have said goodbye to 2021, and we are looking forward to what's ahead. There were some cool diecasts. It did have its moments, though. We're going to take a little moment here to talk about what were your top 3 favorite castings that came out in 2021.
So remember how I tend to go for the weirdo brands, right? Well, X-Car Toys is a company out of probably Hong Kong. There's no license to be found, but I think they were the first one to do a Tesla Cybertruck. It's a pretty cool casting, and it's got some decent detail. You'll never find any Tesla logo on here, but that's okay for my collection. I don't insist on it being a licensed product like some people do. Some people have a hang up with that. I just like the cars. My second favorite one, pretty recent one. How about the 3000 GT that we have been waiting for from Hot Wheels? I thought this was a killer casting. I think they nailed it. I'm so glad that it was a premium right out of the gate. And I'm looking forward to some recolors on that. Last one, I believe this was at Anasada Design, RIP, Ryu. And I love this S4 Quattro from the Deutschland Design series. So those are my 3. I like the street cars. I don't like, crazy graphics. So that's the ones that called out to me this year.
Guys, Datsun, man, diecast, of course, I like the Datsun 510s. I don't have a stock one near me, but I have one modified by one of my best buddies, Eddie at Simple Customs.
Look at that.
And this is the casting that was one of my favorite. That took me actually a long time to acquire, to find. And of course, he added this thing and jacked it up. But this is one of my favorite castings. I really like that one from this last year. And then we had the R34 here. We got a premium, which was I believe Fast and the Furious, was it?
Yep.
And that was really cool to find. I found that in Montana when I was visiting. And then third would be this Liberty Walk R35. And whenever I find these things, I grab them because I got to have them all. I haven't even modified one yet, but I'd like to at least do like a wheel swap on them. But that car is beautiful. Absolutely beautiful.
That was a big splash with their first Liberty Walk car from Hot Wheels. That was really cool.
Yeah, and then they had the Lambo too, and I can't usually pass those up either when I find those. The kind of a gray camo one. You guys know what I'm talking about?
I do. Yep.
Yeah, but the blue's my favorite color, so of course, they're all blue. And I'll just show you quickly. I'll cheat and do 4, but this little Sunny truck was on my list too. So the little Datsun Sunny truck. So that
is a great truck. I think it first came out in the Japan collection.
Japanese
I might be wrong.
historic.
Yeah, the historic one. Yeah, and I love that. It was kind of like goldenrod yellow color that it came out in. It was beautiful, and they painted the skateboard in the back. It looks really good. My 3 kind of are telltale of my go-tos. I love 80s and 90s and late 70s nonsense, especially old Malaise era junk, the stuff that I grew up with seeing on the street, and the Ryu Asada designed Dajivan, or the Dodge van, depending on if you got a short card or a regular card. I wish it had a solid top, but I love what Ryu did with the go-kart inside of it. And, I'm looking forward to customizing a few of those. Like, those are the vans that I grew up with. And the 19... Oh, there it is. Yep, right there.
Short card at that.
Short card and everything. Nice. Yeah. And the 1979 Chevy Nova from Matchbox. I just love that one because that one is just so basic. Like, I love when they come out with cars like the Honda 600 that the Hot Wheels just came out was a really good one, too. That was a contender for me. But even that with its light customization, it still looks relatively stock. And I love when they do that. And that's why I tend to gravitate more towards Matchbox over Hot Wheels. Although Hot Wheels, and again, you got to give props to Ryu on this for really stepping up the Hot Wheels game when it came to realism and to cars that wouldn't normally have fallen into the Hot Wheels oeuvre, like the RX-7 and the 944 and the NSX. The NSX, the Honda Prelude that he did was gorgeous.
Vehicle. Yep.
Yeah, I love that one. But the big one for me is a car that I have wanted in diecast form for years. And for years, you could only get it from MotorMax, and it was not a great casting. And if you could get it, it was probably going to be $75 on eBay. But it was the 1981 Dodge Diplomat that Greenlight released. They released them in a bunch of different versions. You can get them as Grand Furies or as Diplomats, and like that old school police car M-body Mopar look. Like those cars, like my best friend growing up, his dad had an 84 Grand Fury that we drove around in. So like that was like right back to my childhood, riding around in that old 318 V8 powered, very utilitarian, just kind of that last gasp of the V8 sedans that we had before we went all front wheel drive. So now we're going eyes on the prize for 2022. We've all been watching Ministry of Diecast. We all get our email inbox updates. Looking ahead, we've already got quite a lot of 2022 laid out for us. So Mark, why don't you tell us a little bit about 3 cars that you're looking to grab in 2022?
Hot Wheels is doing a premium, a Dodge Charger Hellcat. It's going to be in like a fluorescent green. I don't know what. I'm sure Dodge has some kind of funky color for this green. It's not like an antifreeze or anything. It's a flat green. It looks really good. Looks really sharp. I think the wheels are blacked out. Going to be, of course, real riders. And to scratch my itch of weirdo Japanese stuff, there's an 81 Toyota Starlet coming out. First time they're going to release that vehicle. And I'm going to say any of the chase vehicles that they are going to be putting in the premium sets for the first time. We're going to have chase vehicles. I saw that. Yeah, we're going to have one of the cars.
As if it was hard enough.
Right, to get them.
It wasn't hard enough to get the car culture series.
So I saw one of them. One of the sets is going to have, say, a C8 Corvette. So there'll be two versions of it. One will be a different variation. And the card, guys, what you want to look for on the card to know it's a chase, number one, it'll be a different color. But number two, the number on it will be 0 out of 5 instead of 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5 on the card. So that's how you know you get a chase.
I saw that Starlet as well and got excited. Again, I wish they had done a version without the fender flares on it.
Right.
But it's still very cool. And if you're a good enough modifier, you could probably work your way around that. Sand it down. Pound it low and fill it with dough, as we always said. I'm looking forward to, and I knew they were going to do it the moment that they announced it, and they have announced it. They're doing, Greenlight is doing the 1973 Chevelle Laguna, which, going back to my earlier story, is a car my brother owned. So now he gets another diecast car done. Yatming did the Dodge Aspen that he had, and now they've got the 73 Chevelle Laguna, and his 67 Dodge Charger has been done by many people. Yeah, and they're doing a version of it from the movie Drive. Ryan Gosling drove one famously in the movie Drive, and it really felt like a car guy movie in that things didn't have to be like, he wasn't driving just like all these muscle car movies where they have to have like a 1970 Chevelle or a 69 Dodge Charger or something that's just like, well, what's the most popular? Like a 73 Chevelle is kind of an obscure muscle car. And it had some like more obscure stuff. Like there was a car chase with a late model Mustang and a late model Charger, and they were just like regular cars. Like they weren't like super pimped out or anything. So that's my first pick. I saw that Hot Wheels is doing a 1974 Volvo 142 GL.
Super cool.
You want to talk about weird, obscure. Yeah. And it looks like it's going to be a relatively...
David's all over it.
My ears popped up.
David's like, So I love that because that's Malaise era, and that's very much an every maker. It was really funny. What was really funny is somebody came to me and asked me if I could build their 1969 Volvo 142, and I was like, I'm sorry, nobody has that casting. And then literally like 2 days later, I saw that Hot Wheels was announcing that I was like, well, that would be a pretty easy one to backdate. And another really weird one that I think David will like is Matchbox is going to do, and they haven't really promoted it much, but the Mitsubishi Celeste is going to be made into a Matchbox. And the reason why I love that one is that was also known as the Plymouth Arrow. That was one of the cars that Chrysler bought from Mitsubishi and literally just slapped a Plymouth logo on it, and we're like, it is now a Plymouth Arrow. Enjoy, everyone.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to, I'm a big GT40 fan. There's a new variation coming out for that. I think that was a Ryu. And then also there's a little tuned Batmobile. I don't know if you guys like Batmobiles, but I love the little tune cars. And it's just a squished version of my favorite Batmobile.
Interesting. I'm make some notes here.
The George Barris one,
Yeah, I think it's the black and red. And then, there was one more car that I was thinking about here. It's cool to see there's another the City Turbo coming out. I have all of them. I have all the City Turbos, all the variations. I do love that Nissan the R390 GT1 as well.
Yep.
Because it's kind of a rare car. I didn't think I'd ever see that for a Hot Wheels, honestly, because it's just, you don't hear about it much. You don't hear about that car much.
So what was the deal on that car, Mark? That was made just so that it was legal to race in that type of racing. They had to have a stock version of it. Wasn't that the deal on that?
Yeah, basically. They just never street a bull car, just a race car, basically.
So I'd imagine.
So you'll never see one of those on the street, you know?
They probably made, 2, 3, 4 of them just to...
Yeah, very few. Just a handful of cars.
Interesting. Good pick.
Yeah, and that's also, I believe... Yeah, that's a Rio. That's a Rio Asada as well. So this stuff's still coming out, just variations and everything.
I like that little K truck that it's already dropping. I actually picked up a couple of them. Mighty K, that's what it's called.
Mighty K. Yeah, they called a lot of things like Mighty. They had like those like a Mighty Mite. Remember those firecrackers, the Mighty Mites, little tiny ones.
And it says Yeah, it says on the side Asada Tire Shop. So I thought that was very cool that they're doing a little nod to him.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I already saw
Well-deserved.
that one. Yeah, and I think that's really interesting too, because like he and Larry Wood are kind of like the rock stars of diecast design. Like you think about it, like that wasn't really a thing, and I don't know of too many other designers, and this might just be a blind spot on my part. That and folks, you can write in, by the way, at Diecast Breakdown at gmail.com and tell us you don't know what you're talking about, or
Correct us when we're wrong,
Yeah,
when we're wrong,
exactly.
because we're bound to be wrong.
We are making this up as we go, which again, thank you. Please like and subscribe. Yeah, those are all great picks. As you can see, all three of us have very different approaches, very different cars that we're into. Do either of you have any resolutions for your hobby in 2022?
It's funny that Mark wound up on this podcast with David and Chuck, because Mark made such an impact on me with the amount of cars he raised with his Hot Wheels for Hope and the Seattle Children's Home last year. Mm-hmm. One of my resolutions, guys, I want us, and this is where we need your help, viewers. I want a nationwide, maybe worldwide campaign where on one certain day, maybe next fall, we all post and upload videos showing our drop-offs to hospitals, churches, wherever, toys for kids and anybody in need. Yeah. And I think that would be one of the coolest resolutions for us to see happen, is a coordinated network of giving from the diecast community. Think of the impact we could have on families who just are struggling, may not have money for toys that year. And I would love to be a part of something like that. And I know Mark is committed. We've talked about it in the past. Chuck, I know your heart. You're going to jump all over that with us. And if we can make that happen, I'll call it a job well done for 2022.
Yeah, that was one of my biggest regrets this year, was that I found out too late about Mark's Hot Wheels for Hope drive, which Mark, I'll let you talk a little bit about that.
So basically what we were doing was just trying to raise as many Hot Wheels for kids, specifically for Seattle Children's Hospital. I know that a lot of these diecast guys that I've met on YouTube or Instagram or wherever, they've got big hearts, and people inundated me with cars. I said, send me cars. And I would just have people email me, get my address, and it's up to be trusting that they're not going to do anything malicious with my address. My whole upstairs was just completely full of Hot Wheels. Like, what was it? It was like 4,260 cars or something like that. Kimber knows off the top of her head. But yeah, there was a great effort on everybody's part, on who sent cars, and the amount of time that it took to go through every car and count every car, because we counted every car by hand. Some boxes that were full of 72, we just counted them 72, of course. And that's really nice. If people next year, if I do take some cars, it's nice when they're in a box with a count on them, like 82, 70 cars, so I can just not have to count through them. And I kind of agree with David, whether people just, instead of inundating me with, 5,000, 6,000 cars, just bring them to your local places. If you want to send me cars, I'm down for it. I'm sure David may be down for it too. I don't want to speak for David, but maybe fill his garage or something.
Fill it up.
If we could maybe somehow keep track, maybe a website or a counter that we can create where people can tell how much cars they donated, we can keep track of, how many cars were donated. They could only take so many, so then we gave to Ronald McDonald Foundation, and then the rest have gone to local food banks where kids come in and the families are, they're in need of food, and they hand out Hot Wheels. And I still have to get a video of the guy who puts a lot of that stuff together. He comes in and he's like, do you got any more Hot Wheels? Do you got any more Hot Wheels? Like, these kids, he's like, it's like, these kids are going nuts over them. It's like Christmas, and that was way before Christmas now. So he still hits me up for Hot Wheels. So I always try to give him more Hot Wheels. But he says it's like, for the people that are putting in the time to help with, giving people food and all the volunteers, they get to be the Santa Claus, like, every day. They get to hand these Hot Wheels out. They deserve it. And the kids are like, oh, thank you. And I don't care where they know, like, where they're from. That's not the point. So next year it'll be, we raised, like 4,260 or something like that which is amazing. But next year, I definitely want to be over 10,000, at least in the U.S. And then if we could run some kind of a tally and see what we can do, sky's the limit, on what people can donate in their own neighborhoods. I think as long as you just kind of help push people to go do it, they get excited about it, Because it's just like, hey, go donate at your local food banks, just at minimum, because everybody's got food banks. And kids show up there and they don't want to be there. They're going, it's embarrassing a lot for some people that are getting some food, and it's like, here's some Hot Wheels? Like, why do you guys have Hot Wheels? But especially the kids, the sick kids, and everything that can have some joy in their life, like we do with these things, it's really an amazing thing. It's really cool. But yeah, I'd just like to thank everybody that was involved in that. Everybody did it for the kids, and no one did it for themselves. I can honestly tell that,
Mark, if I know our community, we're going to smash that 10,000. I didn't mean to jump in there, Joe.
Oh, yeah.
And everybody, please make sure you go to Dots Man Diecast on YouTube and follow Mark there, because he does a lot of announcements there. And, follow that as it develops. Of course, subscribe to this show, because we'll be talking about it a lot here. But yeah, that's awesome. And also, while you're on Mark's channel, check out his podcast, where he's been doing a lot of really cool interviews with collectors and customizers. Oh, that's really amazing. I know I feel really lame about my New Year's resolution, which was to get my studio cleaned up. But no, I think, and this is something that thinking a little bigger, just thinking future of this show, I want to get some really amazing guests. We've already got one of my bucket list guests from Mark with Jakarta Diecast. I want to get Magnus Walker on here. I want to, I think we can do it. Like, I think if we keep this going and people get the word out and share about it, I think we can get some people, maybe even Jay Leno. I know.
I want Jay Leno. And
he likes the little cars too.
Maybe.
And he's actually got a line of Hot Wheels coming out this year. Like, they're doing a Jay Leno's Garage series.
What? Really?
So if you know the big guy, please put in a good word for us.
Yeah, we need your help.
Exactly. So that's one of my New Year's resolutions. The other one, and Mark and David, we've talked about this a little bit too, is kind of creating an independent convention or an independent event that would be a collector customizer show where we could all kind of gather. There's different niches of the community. We definitely fall into kind of the YouTube niche of diecast. I know there are a whole bunch of amazing Instagram customizers and collectors that I only see in passing on Instagram, and I'm not on there nearly enough. And every time I go on there, and I'll follow like 20 more people, because I'll be like, holy cow, these are amazing like photos and customs and stuff. And those people never post on YouTube, so I don't really see them that often. But but specifically there is a group of folks that we all know and love, and like the Honest Diecast and Nas and Hewitt's and Pete, Old Man Diecast, and a bunch of these people that we would really like to see in person someday. So good Lord willing, it would be lovely to get together and have a big Hot Wheels Diecast collector get together. And I would love to see that happen. If not this coming year, then have it scheduled for 2023. Because
we'll see what happens.
Can we have it in Trussville, Alabama?
Yeah,
Are you guys okay with that? Yeah. That works out great for me.
I hear that's a lovely,
we'll have
lovely
it in your
vacation
backyard.
destination. Well, you think your Thanksgiving was interesting. David had like 17 people at his house for Thanksgiving.
We had 17. Yeah, I made it.
Yeah, we could have it at Disney World and just rent the park out, and just make it a big event.
Yeah.
No, I don't think so. No, we're going to be looking more like a convention center, like a small convention center, like hotel that has like a decent, little convention place that we can all kind of just stay at,
Yeah.
Unless, you want to bring a tent, stay at David's house.
That is an option. So everybody be sure to stick around, because we're going to be talking about all of these and more. But right now we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about our roundtable discussion this episode, which is going to be on how to get started in collecting. So stick around.
Don't touch that dial. Diecast Breakdown will be right back after these messages.
This episode of Diecast Breakdown is brought to you by you. That's right. We are 100% viewer and listener supported, and we are so grateful for those of you who have already supported the podcast and the shows we're planning to add to the Diecast Media Network family. You can find out more about how to support this project by visiting diecastmedianetwork.com or email us about sponsoring an episode at diecastbreakdown@gmail.com. The best way you can support what we're doing right now, though, is to subscribe and share these episodes with your family, friends, and Facebook groups. Anyone you think would enjoy what we're doing. Any extra attention we can get early on will go a huge way in helping this project grow. Thank you so much for sharing this journey with us.
What happened to Flying Valiant? Is it gone forever? What's going on here? All good questions. Flying Valiant is now Diecast Media Network, a channel dedicated to celebrating diecast collecting, customizing, and culture. This channel will feature video episodes of Diecast Breakdown, plus special episodes of Flying Valiant builds, unboxing series, review series, and opportunities for outside creators to submit their own video content to be featured on this channel. Want to know more? Email diecastmedianetwork@gmail.com. We'd like to take a moment to thank our executive producer level patrons, First and 64th Customs, Video Geek Productions, Matchbox Mark, Brian Smith, Jonathan Von Nesh, and Donald Rashik. Please stick around till the end of the episode for our full list of partners and learn how you can support this project at diecastmedianetwork.com. And now back to Diecast Breakdown.
All right, well, we're back, and we are going to boogie on down to our topic of the day, which is getting started in collecting. I mean, if you're listening to this now, you've probably already collected a few diecasts, but in case you are new to the hobby and you've stumbled across this, or you're just looking for some new tips or tricks on collecting, we're going to be talking about that for a little bit today. And David, you have volunteered to go first as our subject matter expert on getting started in collecting. So, take us away.
Like Chuck said, you're probably already a collector, but if you are in a different stage of your collecting, maybe you are looking around, maybe you want to start customizing. That's another topic we'll hit, but there are certain levels of collecting. Of course, everybody starts the same place. We start with Hot Wheels and Matchbox. God bless them for being $1. They, for the past 40 years, they haven't gone up in price, and that allows anybody to collect. And you're talking about any store that you can find. On my channel, I went around and looked for diecast in every type of store that you would never think there'd be diecast, and they're everywhere, guys. You can find 1/64 scale diecast in almost any store where someone thinks a kid might be with a parent or what have you.
Yeah.
So, that's where we all start. A lot of people, the next logical step might be to start collecting the premiums from Hot Wheels, or now Matchbox has a lot of premiums. Those, going to be a little bit more, but you get more bang for your buck. And so that, that's the natural progression. And like we talked about earlier with my collection, I really latched onto those premiums, and then I went for kind of the ultra premiums that you can find online or find in specialty stores. And, now you're talking about a little bit of money, but if you appreciate details and realism in cars that look almost photorealistic sometimes, that you could put in front of a camera and you would think it was a picture of a real car, those are out there. If you're not aware, leave me a comment at the bottom of this video. I'll help you find them. I love doing that and introducing the different levels of diecast that are out there.
Absolutely. I think it's interesting because when Johnny Lightning really started upping their game and getting more premium, I was like, holy cow, these are incredible. And then Greenlight came out and was like, this is, can they possibly get any better than this? And Greenlight and Auto World, I think, were kind of just incredible and still like really good bang for your buck, especially now that they're at the bigger box stores. You can see them at Walmart and Target now and get them for as low as $4.97 at Walmart, which is like actually cheaper than the Hot Wheels premiums. So like, are you kidding me? These are way nicer. One of the things that I love about the hobby is the jargon. Like Mark, you were saying, like you hadn't even really thought about lensed premiums until David kind of came along. And, and some green lights and some auto worlds do that. Some are painted, some are not. Like learning things like metal. What does that mean? That means you got a metal top and you got a metal bottom. Like a lot of a few years back, I don't know when it was, but almost all of the Hot Wheels now, all the main lines, they're half one and half the other. They're half metal and half plastic. More often than not, the top part is metal, but I'm seeing a lot more plastic bodies lately. And but I get that costs have gone up on stuff, and they're keeping these cars at a dollar US or less, and that's amazing. But at the same time, it's kind of funny to remember, oh, well, these things used to feel like they weighed a pound in your hand. They, those old, like the Murata Stalker or the things that it's like, wow, you could really put some damage on something if you threw this. It's like a little projectile. But yeah, I agree. Like there's the store stuff. And then, you see the premiums. And I actually accidentally, I got a ultra premium majorette, which kind of blew my mind a little bit in the mail. Like the person sent it to me by accident. And I was like, do you want this back? And they were like, no, just keep it. And I ended up giving it to David because it was I think it was a Jaguar XJ6. Yeah,
David's like,
yeah,
awesome.
and because I was looking at it, I was like, oh, this is amazing. Like it was so detailed. It had different colors in the interior and all these like detailed pieces, all of the door, the hood, the trunk, all of it opened. And I was like, oh, I can make this a really cool junker and have it look like it's parked under a tree or something. And I was like, no, this is too nice. I need to call David. And he was happy to take that off my hands, and I appreciate him doing that. But yeah, those ones, like it's still kind of funny to me. Like it's still tough for me. Some of the ones that you get that are $40 or $50 and sometimes even more. And they're not even, and we're not talking like, oh, you're getting an old out of stock one that's hard to find. Like this is what they cost brand new.
Yeah. There's a level now that is specifically catered toward, in the past, I think it would have been larger scale collectors. Some of these 1/18 scale vehicles that are marketed exclusively for collectors can run, and I'm not kidding, $5,000 to $10,000. A lot of vehicle owners can commission a bespoke model of their actual vehicle, and you're talking about a die-cast car that is $20,000. So I'll never get to that level, I hope. But those are out there just to give you an idea of the scope of this type of hobby. The stuff I like, Chuck, is the prices that you were talking about, maybe $25, $50. And I don't buy a lot of those, but I do when I can because I really appreciate all the extra detail that you get in those. They are amazing if you've never looked. And listen, they're not all like that. A lot of times you can get on online marketplaces and find them at really reduced prices. It might take 2 months to get here because it's coming on a boat from China or Japan or wherever, but they are amazing. One day, and maybe later in this conversation, if we get to that, we'll go over some brands that I really appreciate that maybe you guys have never heard of. And if you want to take some notes, check it out. I think you'll be amazed at some of the other brands and companies of what they're doing now to distinguish themselves from Hot Wheels and Matchbox and Greenlight and Autoworld. So a lot of companies realize that collectors, they want to collect a lot of things. They don't have a lot of space. So 1/64 diecast is a pretty appealing hobby to a lot of you. And you all know that. Yeah. So how do you make yourself relevant in that market when there's already major brands like Mattel? You got to do things different. And a lot of these brands are so cool with the stuff they're doing nowadays. Maybe in a future episode, I think we'll have to work on this. I'll get some of the really quirky brands that are out there, and I'll show you what these other companies are doing. And I'll give you some prices so you know what to expect. And if it falls within your budget, jump on it. Try them out. That's what I did. And I love them.
Yeah, what are some of those online marketplaces? Because a lot of people, when they think online marketplace, they immediately think Amazon and eBay, but you buy from some pretty unique sites.
I do. So I'll tell you this, guys. I used to be a avid eBay buyer. Weekly sometimes. I have to keep it from my wife, make sure she's not listening. I've kind of gotten away from eBay. I have found, and I don't know how you guys are going to feel about this, but AliExpress is my go-to right now. There's been, feedback in the past about, customer service issues, whatever. All I know is that I have really enjoyed my experience on AliExpress, and I am finding the stuff 30 to 60% cheaper than eBay. I'm not here. This is not sponsored by AliExpress.
Not yet.
But this is my testimony, And you guys can take it for what you wish. There's a lot of collectors of the brands that higher end, for lack of a better word, just stuff we don't have here in the States. There's a lot of collectors in Asia and Europe that already have access to the models that are being sold on AliExpress. So I buy a lot of stuff used, and I promise you I can get some of the coolest diecasts you've ever seen for $7 to $10, the same price that you would find here in the States. Now, I got to wait 2 months to get it, like I said, but when I get it, it is really cool stuff.
I think that's something that anyone buying online needs to do, like whether you're buying from eBay or you're buying from Ali or Wish or whatever. I've bought a few things from Wish and had it go well, and some of it not. You just got to do your due diligence and read the feedback on the seller, because that's the thing with Ali, is that it's a bunch of individual retailers. Yeah.
There is a YouTube channel that I really enjoy. It's a gentleman named Small Model Collector. And the reason he comes to mind right now is he shows his packages from AliExpress before they're opened. He shows you how they're packed. He writes a seller name on the box so that you've got a resource to, if you see one that's packed substandard, stay away from them. So I just wanted to give him some credit and thank him on behalf of the community for doing that service to everybody.
Like David, I used to be involved with eBay a lot. I still do buy stuff from eBay because I just bought a Datsun 510 short card that you can only, the first generation one, first edition, mainline, little 102. You can only get it in Europe. It's a short card, and they're very rare. So, of course, that's the only place I could find it. So I still buy stuff. I like to buy some lots. Sometimes it's like buy 5, Datsun 510s, and they're reasonable price once you split it up, divided by 5 or whatever. And then Mercari I buy from sometimes. Of course, you run into some outrageous prices, but you just ignore those, of course. There's still some good deals to be had, especially when it comes to lots. I like to buy, a handful of whatever I like. Or sometimes some obscure cars, maybe you find, like, just some little old Countach, I think this one is, Matchbox, and I'll pick that up for $5 or whatever, $3 to $5. Yeah, that's pretty much all I do. I don't really, besides one-stop diecast. I just bought some... basically the newest versions of these guys, these little mini GTs for the 510, because these things, if no one knows about these cars, this is a Jun Mai, for anyone that knows, Jun Mai designer. He made these cars, and they've got a bunch of them coming out. But for anyone that hasn't seen, like, just the amount of effort and how beautiful these cars are with the, like, monochrome, and then, of course, lensed everything. Speed tail. It's like a little dragster. But they're very detailed cars. And they're like $20-$25. So, not bad. So, I ordered some from that. Of course, like David, you have to wait sometimes for a release. I've been waiting like 3 months for the new version of these. What is his name? Sung Kang from Fast and Furious, Tokyo Drift. But he's got his own car that they made for him. 2 variations. I think it's red and orange. So I just got an email today saying, hey, we're going to ship your cars out. And I'm like, finally. I was about ready to cancel the order. You got $50, $60 in cars tied up. And you're like, am I ever going to get these cars? Yeah, but patience is key. So that's about all I really buy from online.
Mark, you're still doing a lot of hunting. Like, you're actually doing out in the wild stuff. So let's talk a bit about that.
Sure. So when it comes to, like, hunting out in the wild, there, like David was saying, there's a lot of places that have 1/64th scale. You can literally, you're looking at from 7-Eleven, they carry a little bit of cars. Michael's, the craft store, they've got a little section. They might have a handful there. I've actually found some really cool cars there, some premiums that were from a long time ago collecting dust, and I'm like, those are the cool finds that I like to find. Some stuff that's like, wait, these were out 3 years ago, because those are the ones that you usually have to pay a little bit more money for, but it's still the same price in the store. You got your Walmart, your Target, Safeway's got some pretty cool cars. Fred Meyer and Kroger have big dump bins and kind of a larger selection. And, a lot of those stores they're branching out, like you're talking about Auto World. That's something that I just started collecting recently, these little Supras, that are, correct down to the muffler. I know these cars. I've worked on them. I've had them. It's the same muffler. So it's like that kind of stuff I kind of geek out on. And of course, kind of David's got me into that a little bit about some of just the stock cars, that are just not modified. So yeah, they're branching out more. You're seeing majorettes in, I believe, Target and like Walmart. I don't know if you're seeing too many of those in like Fred Meyer, Kroger, but yeah, there's a lot. Dollar Trees, Dollar Generals. There's a lot of stores that carry 1/64th scale, and it's one of those things that it's fun and it's frustrating too, because you don't get to the car in time or whatever. But the way that I look at it is that if I'm out hunting and I find one car that I like, we're good. You found something that you like. It's not wasted time. So for some people, they're like, oh, people are getting all the good stuff. It's just like, step back, be grateful for all the cars you already have, and, in this community, especially the YouTube community, someone will help you find that car, And if you can't find it, there's some cars you're just never going to find.
Well, and
you're just not going to find them.
And it's interesting too, because you got things like you've got your Dollar General exclusives, you got your Kroger exclusives, which is an interesting one to have an exclusive because Kroger is not universal. Like that's a regional grocery chain.
It's not
in the United States. So, I mean, every now and then you get some unique ones, like actually Publix, which is a very popular supermarket chain down in the South. That's every now and then they would have specialty. They wouldn't be like unique castings or whatever, but they would do like a short run of like, this is the Publix 75th anniversary delivery truck or something like that. But it was an actual Hot Wheels car. It was that milk truck, the custom milk truck design with a custom tampo on it. And so those things kind of are interesting to show up. Like you said, sometimes you have to resort to online, especially if you're a completionist. Like you've got your 510 collection that you're trying to get all the different variants on. And I know they did some Dollar General uniques, and they did some like Walgreens, I think occasionally gets exclusives, and Target's got their Red Series, and Walmart has the Zamex. And although I saw Zamex show up in a Dollar Tree once, and I thought that was interesting.
GameStop
has them. So your gaming stores, your hobby shops. Unfortunately, the only place around here to really get a good selection of Greenlight or Majorette is Hobby Lobby. The other craft stores around here don't really have them, but it's nice to see them starting to show up in Walmart and Target, the Johnny Lightnings, the Greenlights, and the Auto Worlds showing up. And like you said, I love the Auto Worlds because Auto World and Greenlight especially put so much detail into like you said, the chassis. And when you're a customizer, like being able to go in there and detail the chassis is so cool. And I just got one of those Supers. I got the one without the spoiler. I love that they did a version without the spoiler. So so it really looks like that, just like no frills stock Supra. And
that's like a non-turbo one. Yeah, it's like
exactly. I'm definitely much more of a used shopper because as a customizer, I'm looking for ones like, for me, the condition of the car or the look doesn't really matter. I shop for castings, not for looks or tampos, although that is not always true. I just picked up this goofy, it's a Monster Jam exclusive because it is Florida themed, and I am right here in the Sunshine State. And I was like, oh, that's fun. I do a lot of thrift store shopping. Probably one of my best finds ever was I found 4-gallon bags full of 80s and early 90s majorettes. And they were all, it was incredible. Like, it's one of my like earliest unboxings, but because I was just like,
I'll have to check that out.
What? Just like, I didn't even, I think I actually ended up sending a bunch of those out because there were a lot of duplicates, and there were a lot of after that video, there were a lot of people like, oh, I really like that casting or whatever. And it wasn't all majorettes. There was it was mixed in there, but it was easy 65% majorettes, which is like unheard of in the US. Like that's very weird. Like somebody went out of their way to collect these. But they were at the same time pretty play worn. So it was a kid's collection. So I don't know. We're a university town. I don't know if someone came from Europe, because a lot of the cars were European cars too. Like even the ones that were more Matchbox. So I don't know if it was like a college professor that came for a while and their kids donated the cars or something. But it was very weird to have something like that happen. I get discouraged every now and then. Like you said, like it's like I'm a member of a lot of Facebook collector groups and customizer groups. And you get these photos of people that are showing like, oh, I found 5 super super treasure hunts in my shopping cart. First of all, that's not necessarily real. Don't believe every photo you posted on the internet. Second of all, if you see one of those pictures, go look at how many people are in that group and remember that, 46,000 other people did not find treasure hunts that day. Like, you're looking at like a moonshot level lucky find. Like, and it just seems like,
that's a big shipper that somebody went through. That's a large shipper, and they got really lucky. It's possible, but it's not
exactly. So but it can be discouraging because you'll see a bunch of posts like that, and then you're going, okay, well, first of all, this is a group from all over the world. These are not the same people posting over and over again. Like, this is one individual. I will occasionally have a lucky day. I was in Walgreens, and Walgreens usually has like 5 or 6 cars tops on the shelf here. Like, I'll see every now and then I'll see these Walgreens that have the display cases, but they're very it's very rare to find one that has more than 8 or 10. And I found a treasure hunt, a Chrysler Pacifica, on the shelf, and I was like, oh, that's fun. For me, thrift shops are good. They're getting harder to find though, because they're getting more picked over. Look for independent shops. I found a really good one that was through an Episcopal church in town, had a little thrift shop, and you'd think there'd be nothing in it, and they had a little like shoebox full of like 30 cars, and I bought almost all of them because they were all a Blackwell era Hot Wheels or super fast Matchbox. And I was like, yeah, that's amazing. And
super fast are great.
And flea markets are a great place to look and still get a pretty good deal, although the flea market folks are starting to catch on and they're getting to be a little more picked over, but you can still get some really cool cars for $1, $2. Sometimes you'll get lucky and find the 4 for $1 bins, and those are pretty rough to dig through, but if you go way down to the bottom, you can find some interesting stuff. So that's the good stuff as a customizer. As a collector, there are places in flea markets, like, don't overlook them. If you're a collector and you're looking for carded stuff, there are premium sellers there, and ask around too, because I just found out that one of the flea markets here that I frequent, I came by this guy and he had a huge display of Diecasts. I'm like, I've been here 10 times. How come I've never seen you before? And he's like, well, I only come the 4th Saturday of the month. And it's like, okay, well, that's weird. And I was talking to some of the other people, and they're like, oh yeah, you should, and then one of them said, oh, well, you need to go down to like the Webster flea market. There's a guy down there that like, he's Mr. Diecast. And he's got a huge display. That's the big thing, is talking to people. Like it's tough for me as someone who's kind of more introverted out in the wild to strike up a conversation with people. But the other day I learned a bit about the local collection scene because I happened to be there at the same time as one of the guys at Walmart was putting up some cars back on the shelf. They were old ones from a dump bin that they were putting back on the shelf. But I was like, okay, tell me a bit about, when do they stock these things? Are they always at night, or do they do? This is the first time I've seen one during the day, but I see you guys stocking all day. He's like, well, they're still mostly done at night. And he said that, just so you know, there's like 3 guys that show up here every day at 6 a.m. when the doors open to go through the Hot Wheels. We were talking about that before we started recording. It's like, what do they do? Did they fist fight over the cars? Like, how does that work? But it was interesting. It was funny because I was waiting for him, was waiting for an in to start talking to him while he was putting the cars on the shelf. And then while I was talking, there was another guy that kind of came by, and he was standing behind me, and I was like, okay, we're waiting in line to get to the Diecasts. So I offered to help him stock the shelf. And then, I let the guy, I was like, hey, I'm pretty sure there's nothing in here I want. I'm going to be putting these on the shelf. You can feel free to dig through. And that's another thing too. Like, and you've mentioned this before, Mark, and that's actually why I started, but you can always offer to peg the cards for the stock people. And that's a good way to get a nice in with the shop staff.
If they see you and they have a bad feeling, you're not going to get much help from them. If they see you and they have good feelings because they see you cleaning up other people's mess, not making a mess, and just being generally polite and nice, and just being, and there's nothing wrong with asking an employee, like, I see that you don't have any out on the shelf. Do you guys have any more in the back that you can bring out? And then they could say no, or they can say, yeah, let me go grab a box. And then, maybe they'll hand you the box and you'll be able to look through it and then hang it up for them. And then maybe they may even let you keep the box. I've grabbed some boxes because then you can put cars in them. It just pays off to be nice, and sometimes nice people get stepped on, but not in the long run, just short term.
I just found there's a city about an hour from here that has not one but two vintage toy stores, and I didn't even think about looking for something like that. And one of them is amazing. Like I was like, can I shoot some video in here? Because this place is incredible. And they had just a huge array of stuff. I'm looking forward to sharing that. So those are really cool places to look for. But yeah, there's always that allure of eBay because you're going, oh, I really like this casting. I'll go and I'll see it. Oh, there's somebody that has it. And it's, But my thing that I always, like to encourage people is eBay is good if you need it now. If you're doing a custom build and you need a particular casting for a build off or something like that, eBay is a fine way to go. There's still a lot of really good hunting to be done in the wild. And like, you're not going to find a mini GT brand on the pegs at your local big box store, or you're not going to find like some of these. It's just not going to happen. You have to go online, be smart, shop around, do the look on Mercari or eBay or
just Google it.
Yeah,
honestly,
exactly.
Just Google it.
Yeah, look at the Google shop results. There is one of my new tricks that I like to do for eBay is I will go through the diecast. I actually have, I don't know if you do this either, but with eBay you can set up alerts for specific things, so you can have saved search results. So every morning I get a digest of all the different things that I'm trying to find, and then if I see one that I like that's buy it now, I'll watch it and then wait a few days, and more often than not, it seems now, I will within 3 or 4 hours get a lower price offer than the buy it now price. Yep. So I do that a lot where I have to, it's tough for me because I want to punch that buy it now. And when you're doing that too, like you said, you got to factor in like lots and bundles as a good way to save money on that. And it seems counterintuitive, but I will avoid the ones that say free shipping. I will go for the one that has, a lower price, but it might have, $4 or $5 on shipping. And then what I'll do is I'll go through and see what their other items are. And if they do combined shipping and then, bundle it in such a way, I've even shot them a message and said, hey, look, I'm looking to buy like 10 cars and I'm in no hurry. Is there a way to get a better discount on the shipping? Because I know if you ship this like slower, like I'm not in a hurry. And I've actually had people drop the shipping $3 or $4 for me just by reaching out. And actually there was one guy, I bought 2 or 3 cars from him because he was offering a discounted rate on buying more cars, and it turns out he's a supplier for Diecast Graveyard. He sends him a bunch of like the red lines that get restored on his channel are sent to him by this guy, and so he was like, hey, if you're a customizer, I get these trashed cars all the time, and he's not interested in anything that's not a red line or an old Johnny Lightning. What are you interested in? I was like, well, I like the weird old Hong Kong brands, the Yacht Mings, the Zilmexes and stuff like that. And he's like, yeah, I get a ton of those, and nobody wants them. Like, if you'll pay me. So he's like, so what he's doing, for me now is like, he's setting aside and he'll pack a flat rate box for me. And if I pay the shipping, he sends them to me, which is really cool. So,
hey, Chuck, let me touch on what you just said, because if you want to dabble in these foreign brands, and I'm talking to our American fans here, if you want to buy brands from, say, Australia, there's a company there that makes amazing diecasts. It's called Bianti. Mm-hmm. They're pretty much only available in Australia. And the very first time I found them, I told this guy, I sent him a message. I said, now keep in mind, folks, when you are buying from Australia, the shipping is going to be $20 to $30 per unit. It is crazy.
Yeah, no matter what.
So I sent him a text or I sent him a message through eBay. I said, I'm going to buy 6 of these. Can you help me out on the shipping? Saved $80. So what Chuck is saying is such a good idea. Reach out to them. It's on sale because they want to get rid of it. So a lot of times they are ready to deal.
Yeah, absolutely. And if they get rid of like 10 of those items instead of one at a time, they're going to be pretty willing to do whatever to get rid of it. And I'm the same way. If I am selling something for, because I have too many of it, I'm usually just trying to get my money back. I'm not trying to make money off stuff so I can move on to something else. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with selling your stuff just as long as it's like not much more than you paid. You're just trying to cover your costs, We're not trying to get rich. So we won't get into that. But if you're trying to get rid of some stuff and you sell it in a lot, then it's just easier just to ship it all to somebody else that's going to usually appreciate it more than you do. That's usually my biggest thing. I'll either You know, like Chuck, you gave that car to David. What was
The
it?
Jaguar,
The
yeah.
little, was it a Majorette?
Majorette.
You said Majorette Premium? Yeah. Because you know that he's going to appreciate it 10 times more than you will, you know? So to be able to, I think that's one of the biggest things in the diecast community or just in life in general. If you find someone that you know is going to enjoy the car like 10 times more than you will, just either give it to them or sell it to them for like a really good deal. You know, not everyone's in a position where they can give cars away like some of us do. You know, sometimes they just can't do that. But I mean, I think that's the most rewarding thing is when you send someone that car that they've been looking for years, and sometimes you pick that, you know, weird car up, this little Lamborghini, and some guy's out there in the world looking for this thing. You know, he's like, I can't find that. Hook him up, you know, because they were looking for it. You know, if we just all help each other out, it just makes the community.
Yeah, my philosophy is I list all the cars that I sell at the price I paid for them, plus, you know, a couple bucks for shipping, and I list it at an auction, and I go, okay, you know, I will let the market decide what it's worth. And if you want to bid it up, that's fine. That's not, you know, that's, I think in that case, that's showing what the car is worth, not, you know, setting it at, oh, well, everybody's got like this thing. And I've made good money on some things, and I've not on, I sold a M2 Chase car carrier that had the 66 Charger and a L600 truck setup. And it was a Coca-Cola Chase vehicle. And people were listing it for like $80-$90, and I sold it for $20 because I was like, well, that's what I paid for it. You know, those are the rules. You know, I got my money back, and hey, I probably made somebody's day with that. And I've given away other ones too. Like somebody gave me, Gary Shorter on YouTube gave me a trio Camaros that was a Chase M2. And it was really cool, and it was a really like amazing set. And but at the same time, we all know Pete at Old Man Diecast loves all things Camaros, and I was like, oh man, I gotta send this to him. It would blow his mind, and I did, and it did blow his mind, and it was amazing. So sometimes you know, and you can't really put a price on that. Like that's kind of like that feels way better to me than, you know, selling it on eBay. And I get it. If sometimes like you know, if you're in a situation where money's tight, you got to sell stuff. But when you can give them away, it's almost as good. But, you know, and speaking of buying and selling, David, we've got a really cool interview coming up here that you recorded for us for this episode. So let's set us up here. Tell us a bit about what we got coming next.
Guys, I think you're going to like this. You get to see a shop that it only sells diecast. And almost all Hot Wheels and Matchbox. Come back and check it out. We're going to look at Diecast Extreme in Cullman, Alabama.
We'll be back with more Diecast Breakdown after this word from our sponsors.
Got an idea for our show? Know someone that would make a great guest? Want to tell Mark how handsome he is? We'd love to hear from you. Email us your ideas at diecastbreakdown@gmail.com.
This presentation of Diecast Breakdown is brought to you by TWYCE Diecast and Dotson Man Diecast on YouTube. Please visit their links in the show notes and subscribe to their channels for more epic diecast content. Diecast Breakdown would like to thank Diecast Heroes Magazine for supporting this program. Diecast Heroes Magazine is the premier digital and print resource just for diecast customizers. Visit diecastheroes.com and see what the best customizers in the world are up to. And now, the thrilling conclusion of this week's episode of Diecast Breakdown.
I'm going to try and do this from memory, but how bad can you see the pages in the
Yes, I can see.
in the shop?
Yes.
Does this look too bad, or is this okay?
Okay, Diecast fans, we are here today in Cullman, Alabama, one of my favorite spots in the world. I'm here with David, owner of Diecast Extreme, one of the best places as a diecast collector to visit. I hope you guys know his shop. I hope you get a chance to stop by if you're ever in the area. David, I appreciate you joining us today. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Yeah,
Thank you for the time.
This is your shop?
Yes, sir.
It is a fantastic place. Every time I come in here, it feels like it's been too long since I've been here, and it's probably only been about a week, if truth be told. So let's start with you as a collector.
Okay.
Go back as long as you can remember when you first started collecting
in the late teens, I was always into cars, just cars and real cars in general.
Absolutely.
And of course, being young, when I was even younger, my parents bought me cars and stuff like that, Hot Wheels, and the love of them just kind of started then. It got more and more and more, and then I had built up quite a big collection, and then ended up selling it maybe 5-6 years later.
Your whole collection?
My whole collection.
Wow.
And I went to a lot of conventions and nationals and stuff like that, brought the stuff there, sold it, and within a year I was like, why did I do that? And so I hit it again, and I hit it even harder than I did before. So before I knew it, I had an entire man cave, cabinets. I've got 36 Carney cases, just all out, haul away everything.
Was there one particular casting that before you had ever started collecting cars that said, man, I like this?
Probably the Byway Man.
Yeah.
Really, I always liked the truck, the old school truck. I always liked the Byway Man. And the Power Plower, which is, relatively the same thing. I always liked them. Tried to get all the variations and everything I could.
If I'm talking about David the collector, who has this amazing store that we're sitting in right now, where does David the collector go to shop for his diecast collection? Not for the store.
I tell you, because of the store, I have so many people bringing in collections. It's become on occasion, let's say 3 days a week, that somebody's bringing in, whether it's just a couple boxes or a van full.
Right.
Some people will contact me, and then some people will just show up. Say, hey, I got some Hot Wheels, you want to buy them? And I'll pick out of there what I want as a collector, and then I try to sell the rest.
Do you take it old school and still get out there and peg hunt, though? That's what I'm curious about.
I really don't.
All right.
I really do not. Unless I'm just in the store doing some normal shopping.
Yeah.
Yes, I will look, but I can't tell you the last time I actually purposely went to the store just to peg it, because of the fact that with the store, so many people bring me this, that, and the other, which has been great.
Yeah, that's the worst problem.
They hunt, and
fantastic.
I'm able to benefit from it.
Absolutely. What's your current maybe top 5?
I like the Hot Birds. My favorite has always been the Bugatti.
Yeah.
The Bugatti Veyron.
Yeah.
Ferrari, and probably just hit and miss on some of the newer Redline Club stuff. I've got, well over 300 Bugatti Veyrons right now. Unfortunately, they're not all different, but still.
Can't have too many.
I don't know what it is about that casting, but I do go after them.
Can't have too many of them. I've got a magic wand. It's actually in the car. I'm going to give it to you for one wish, for you to add to your collection a piece that you have wanted forever. What are you adding to your collection?
Ooh, man, I don't know if I have one. And the reason being is because I have been so lucky throughout the years, and I have bought so many cars, so many collections, and I've had, they're in a Redline Club car I haven't had. Well, maybe a couple, but I didn't want them. But I don't know that there's a car out there that's really eluded me that I could just jump on.
You talked about how people bring you collections, and no doubt you have to go out and look at collections as well.
Right.
About how many cars do you think you bought last year?
Probably around 130,000.
130,000 cars. Yeah. All right. So that's different than most of us shopping at Walmart and Hobby Lobby.
Right.
So when you pull up to a potential purchase, someone that's got a collection they're wanting to sell,
okay,
how do you know when a collection is good? Is there something that you see when you're starting to go through boxes and tubs that says this guy knew what he was doing?
Well, one is condition, just taking care of it. I can't tell you how many collections I've gone to look at or have come through the door that are just look like, you know, they're just thrown in there and there's no care to it. I've seen plenty of those with, you know, really good cards being ruined as far as the packages and stuff. When you open up several of the first cases or tubs and stuff like that, you get instantly right then, because I've been doing this so long, you get a feel for what's in the tub just by the first couple layers. You know, and they could be even alternate years or whatever, but you have a sense of what is going to be in this tub. And, you know, open up another tub, you get that sense what their mindset was when they were going at it.
It's amazing how many different types of collections people have, isn't it?
Absolutely. I mean,
you got JDM fans, you got muscle heads,
correct.
You got hardcore red line.
Correct. And you got people that want to collect every car in the series, you know, the number series for the whole completion.
Yeah.
You got the people that want to finish sets, so they buy the fantasy cars, the real cars, whatever, to get that complete set.
You can't count on finding every lead by someone walking into the store.
Correct.
How important is it to stay engaged in the diecast community where you live? And how does someone even get started if they are curious about getting in touch with other collectors?
It's extremely important. Here at the store, I have developed what, you know, me and my wife call a family, you know, just a Hot Wheels family. And we have so many regular customers that come in here weekly, bi-weekly, you know, whatever it is. And they know what I'm looking for. I get messages from the Facebook page and stuff like that. Yeah. Hey, what are you looking for? They're out looking for me. And I have a lot of people that are, you know, I get messages all the time. Hey, so-and-so's got a collection that you need to go look at.
How does somebody who doesn't have those contacts, how do they get started? Where would you suggest? By
going to shows.
Right.
That would be, and just your local, you know, your local shows and stuff. Get on Facebook and you hit up or Google or stuff like that. Look up shows that are going on. Go to the shows and get a if you're trying to get a collection and stuff like that, then, you know, reach out to the people that have the cars and ask them, you know, if you bought the whole thing, what kind of deal would you get? Or
it's good advice. If someone who is not accustomed to buying these large collections,
right.
If they want to take their collecting to the next level and try and do that, you have any advice for those people thinking about it?
It really depends on, I guess, your financial situation as far as that. It's funny, they're dollar cars for the most part, but this is the cheapest, most expensive hobby there is.
It ends up being real money.
You know, so if you can go to the next level, then, you know, I'd say sell your lower end items and just gradually work up to that grail piece. You know, everybody's got a grail piece.
Who is a guest that you would like to see on a podcast about diecast?
Probably a designer or something from Mattel.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I'd want to get their input on what's behind the scenes.
I'd love to know, the whole process, start to finish. I think that'd be cool. That's a great one. Well, David, it's been a pleasure. Thank you for letting me come and crash your store. We are here before opening time, so David was kind enough to open his doors and let us come in, and I hope you guys have enjoyed getting to know David at Diecast Extreme. You got to check it out if you're ever in the area. Cullman, Alabama is where you want to be as a diecast collector.
And come be part of the family.
David, tell them how to get in touch with you before we close it out.
My phone number is 205-243-9600. The store is at 603 Graham Street, Southwest, Cullman, Alabama.
And we'll put all this information as we wrap up. Thank you so much for joining us. I've had a thrill getting back to my favorite spot, Diecast Extreme in Cullman. We'll catch you guys on the next one.
Thank you.
that is
Very
a
cool.
shop that I'm going to have to put on my list to come see. And I think I timed it out. It's about an 8-hour drive for me. So I'm like, okay, I got to figure out a way to go to Cullman, Alabama now, because I can't just.
It's a little bit more of a drive for me.
Exactly.
So,
So maybe we have our Diecast conference in Cullman, Alabama. Well, but it should be that. Like, I think we should do that. If it is going to be at, we got to pick a city for it, but maybe like somewhere where there is, like we got to maybe do some Google searches for, world,
somewhat
central-ish, but find like world's largest private diecast store or something. I don't know, but.
Yeah, that would be good.
Exactly. Some kind of activity. But yeah, I think that's going to do it for our first episode. I hope you all enjoyed it. Thank you for sticking around to the end. If you do like what we do and you're watching this on YouTube, please hit the subscribe button. Tell your friends, please, if you know somebody that collects diecast or customizes and enjoys the hobby, please share this. If you are listening to it, please rate us 5 stars on your favorite podcast platform. And, guys, what do you think? How'd we do? Yeah.
You asking me?
I had a blast.
It was terrible. No. It was a lot of fun, and this is our first one. It's only up from here, so just stick around, and we're going to have some really cool guests on here, and it's just going to be really cool to get to know people outside their regular YouTube videos or people that you don't see online, that you've heard about or seen in magazines or whatever. So that'll be really exciting, and excited to be here.
What he said, no, I had a blast, guys. I think you're really going to enjoy this. This is a brainchild of Chuck, and I am along for the ride and having a ball because I think this is something that is needed in our community, and there's been versions of it in the past, but this is going to be something new. I think you're really going to enjoy it. Stick around.
And credits where credit is due. Mark's podcast really kind of got me thinking about this. And it was actually Mark's podcast where I heard him and David talking. I was like, there's something here. Like these guys are really talking well together. There's some good back and forth. And I think what they need is me to get in the middle of their conversation and mess things up. But yeah, like aside from us, Mark has really the only other Diecast podcast out there, and he's doing some really cool interviews, so be sure to check him out. He's on all your favorite podcast platforms, and of course follow his channel at Dotson Diecast. Please subscribe to David over at TWYCE Diecast. Yep, he's got his little sticker there. So we've he's even got a special jingle, and
he does that I made for him. There's my little Dots of Man Diecast.
And we would love to hear from you. Questions, comments, please email us at diecastbreakdown@gmail.com. And let us know what you think. Let us know what you want to hear on the show. Tell us what castings are you looking forward to the most in 2022. Tell us about that. And we would love to hear from you. Like I said, drop us a line anytime. We are looking forward to where this is going. And like Mark said, it can only go up from here. On behalf of myself, David, and Mark, I want to thank you all so much for watching, listening, wherever you are. And until next time, we will see you again real soon. Take care.